Hundreds of Ghanaian Muslims have gathered at the Independence Square in Accra, where President John Dramani Mahama will join them to hold prayers for the nation as they mark the end of Ramadan with prayers and celebrations. It is part of celebrations taking place across the country. We go now live to the Independence Square.
قال تعالى إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بينهم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون وقال أيضا يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير فإن الدنيا قد أكبرت وأعزل بي وداعٍ وإلى الآخرة قد أقبلت وأشرفت بالتلاء وأنا علي بن أبي طالب كرم الله وجهه قال أخوف ما أخاف عليكم اثنتان طول العمل واتباع الهوى فإن طول العمل ينسي الآخرة فإن اتباع الهوى يصد عن الحق ألا إن الدنيا قد ارتعلت مدبرة ألا وإن الآخرة قد ارتعلت مقبلة ولكل منها بنون وكونوا من أبناء الآخرة ولا تكونوا من أبناء الدنيا فإن اليوم عمل ولا حساب وغدا حساب ولا عمل قال تعالى يوم تجد كل نفس ما عملت من خير محضرا وما عملت من سوء تود لو ان بينها وبينه امدا بعيدا ويحذركم الله نفسه والله رؤوف بالعباد. اللهم انصر من نصر الدين واعذر ما حفظ للمسلمين وعليك من كان في هلاك راعة للمسلمين ودمر اعداء الدين واجعل اموالهم وذراريهم غنيمة للمسلمين واكتب السلامة والعافية لجميع المسلمين ونجنا من كل بلاء وربا وغلاء وطاعون وزنا ووباء وتهر من جميع ذلك بلدنا خاصة وبلاد من المسلمين عامة. اللهم انا نسالك ان تحفظ بعنايتك وتوفيق حكومتنا اغانية ورئيس هاجر عبد الرحمن محمد ونائبه كوسي امسى واعوانه. اللهم اجعل هذا البلد بلدا امنا مطمئنا في اوطاننا ولا تفتنا وارفع مسرا وغلبك عنا ولا تؤاخذنا ما فعل السفهاء منا واختم لنا بحسن خاتمة الناجين والراجين الذين قيل لهم قل يا عبادي الذين اسرفوا على انفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله ربنا اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولمن سبقنا بالايمان ولمن سبقنا عنهم وغفرة عظما. اللهم اغفر لنا ولجميع المسلمين آمة ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا كفروا. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى والنهي عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. muna gode ma Allah
wanda cofe shi
da Allah ya kai mu karewa azumi
ne hawa bana gbe ka han ma hele
abinda Allah ya hana
ni bi ni ngwe bo koko
cikin azumi
ya ma hele mi le
shine kuma ya hana
nunu e bo le koko
bayan azumi
ya agba hele se
mu zauna lafiya
wata shi to enjole
niman da Allah ya muna
do mo ni ngwe do wo
na zama lafiya
aka wata shi njele ma ne mi le
mu gode ma Allah
sa aka wada cofe shi
kar mu dauki wannan niman nan
waka kona kan shi da
mu buduce ma Allah
ni wato mo turmule cofe yin
dunga fadace
be ka ni bi ci
muna zage
wanjawahi
Allah na guda muna a cikin alqur'ani
cofe towe malami
mun manta ne
ani wahiye jeno
Allah na tuna muna
ngon kaiwo
ya alice mu
lebo
daga Adam da Hawwa
daga Adam ka Hawwa
ya sanya mu
ne hawa chomo
manyan kabilu da ƙanana
me olupa ke bibi
ba domin mu zo mai fada ba
ni wa ba no ewo
domin mu yi sanayya
bona fe ni wasu mo wahi
ba domin mu zo mu zage zage ba
ni wa ba jawahi
ba domin mu zo mu yaki ba
alo ba huta
sunna annabi ne
sunna kan agbalo
in ka zo daga nan
ko ba biye
za ka koma gida
ko se kan ya
ka bi wani hanya daban
to gbe ko no
sunna ne na annabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam
sunna kan agbalo Muhammad
kar mu jayayya
wa ka gbra ni bi ami
kar shanin siyasa
wa ka kwa ni na oshiki fa lo ko ni wa ka fe
jayayya tsakanin mu
ni na gba ba wote
mu rarraba
ni wa mi agbra
kar ya kawo mana haka
e kan hana kan ba wote
mu kokarin mu tsoraci Allah
wo bo ni wa se yin wo gbe
kiyaye abinda Allah ya ajiye
ni bi ngbe ko wo ko wahi
Allah ya gwada cikin alkur'ani
to fe to ai malami
cikin suratul ilafi
ni ilafi sura
ya gwada godiya
e to shida
in ya maka nima ka gode
e keke dogo no ko da shi
Allah ya gwada cikin suratul ankabuti
ni rasul ankabuti hunna
ya
kan
ce in ya gwada in ya muku nima
e keke do wono ko e
gode
saka wada shi
awalam yarwalna ja'alna lahum haraman aminan ويتعتب الناس من حولهم أبا بالباطل يؤمنون وبنعمة الله يكفرون الله كما يقول في سورة النحل
نبغى سورة النحل
ولا رب الله مثلا قال آمنة مطمئنة يأتيها رزقها رغدا من كل مكان فكفرت بأنعم الله فذاقها الله لباس الجوع والعافية bima kanu yasnauna mu gode ma neman da Allah ya bada
aka wada shi ni binin gwedo
sauran kasashe ana fitina
imagination in ti ya je
mu muna zaune lafiya
wa gana wata shi tuenjele
mu gode ma Allah
aka wada shi
Allah ya kira kowa
mu gwace mu fiamu
da Kristan
ke Kristo fojo
wani Kristan
alo jembi
duka ya kira kowa
ya fe cho mu.
Well, some prayers being said, led by the Chief Imam at the Independence Square as Muslims gather to end the end of Ramadan with some prayers and some celebrations. We'll bring you more on this. And we know that the President will be at the Independence Square, so we'll catch up with his speech later on here on News Desk. Meanwhile, an Islamic scholar, Sheikh Aramiyaw Shaibu, has called on all Muslims to stay true to the Islamic religion and ensure they partake in all Islamic activities. Speaking with Francis Aban on Pulse on Tuesday, Sheikh Shaibu mentioned that fasting during the Ramadan period does not only draw a Muslim closer to Allah, but it also builds a stronger prayer connection.
I think that sometimes some Muslim scholars are quick in passing judgment. You know, from my understanding, we have a God who is very compassionate, and invoking Him, compassion and beneficence and munificence is three of His attributes that we use to invoke Him. And I found that one to be a contradiction when, in default, as immediately then you face the wrath of God. You see, wrath portends anger, portends the violence, the dimension of God. But in the way that God deals with us, He deals with us appreciating our infirmities, and so He gives us an opportunity to restore us into connection with Him.
Okay.
So it is not good that we pass quick judgment for God. There must be a reason why the person, in fact, even under the temptation of Satan, God sees our shortcomings and He's prepared to forgive us. That is why He gives you the chance. He says that if you deliberately, He doesn't say you face the wrath of God. If you deliberately eat food during Ramadan, what you have done is that you have violated the sanctity of the month. The holiness of the month has been violated. And so therefore, what you do, one, is that you fast for 2 months consecutively.
Wow, that's the punishment.
Yeah, not a punishment, a kind of expiation.
Okay.
You atone for your deliberate violation. So you are able to. Once you are an obedient servant and you are able to do so. Or you feed, 60 indigent or poor people.
Okay.
So you see, you have a choice.
Well, still ahead, we've got some holiday sports, but first, business.
In addition to our African traditional religionists,
we have been lucky in Ghana to live in perfect peace and harmony. And I think that this is something we can be proud of, and we must jealously guard into the future. Indeed, both Christians and Muslims enjoy holidays, and it is a very beautiful thing to see all Ghanaians, both Christians and Muslims, take a rest during the two holidays, Muslim holidays. We have Eid-ul-fitr and Eid-ul-adha, and also to see Muslims take a rest during the holidays of Easter and Christmas. And so we thank God for this, and we will continue to do everything to protect the peace that we enjoy. Unfortunately, we live in a world that is changing, and some people, under the guise of religion, who are religious extremists, misinterpret the religious doctrines and use it to create harm for ideological reasons. Terrorism has entered our sub-region, and these people who propagate this terrorist ideology come under the guise of religion and erroneously try to create an equation between terrorism and Islam. It is not true. There is no link between terrorism and Islam, and there's no way they can equate this religion with terrorism. This is particularly so because in the holy month of Ramadan, we know that this is a month of peace and forgiveness. How would it be that a terrorist group urges its adherents during the holy month of Ramadan to go out and bomb and kill people during Ramadan? It's not Islamic. Aside from that, recently there was an incident in Saudi Arabia. A suicide bomber let off a bomb outside the holy mosque of Prophet Muhammad, the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. I mean, this is one of the most sacred sites of Islam. How somebody can let off a suicide bomb outside the holy mosque of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, definitely that cannot be Islam. Definitely that cannot be Islam. Recently in Baghdad, a bomb killed 175 people and injured 215 of them. Out of this number, nearly 40 were children. More than 70 were women. The Holy Quran says, even in war, do not kill women and children. And so how can you, in the name of jihad, kill more than 70 women, kill more than 40 children, and say you're fighting a holy war? And yet, the propaganda of these terrorists is so strong. And the social media and new information communication technology techniques, which are used as a means of mankind's progress, are used as propaganda tools to brainwash our young people and recruit them into these terrorist groups. And so I urge our parents to take an interest in the behavior of our young people, because even here in Ghana we have seen instances where Muslim youth, very learned and academic in universities and institutions of higher learning, who have abandoned their studies because of this terrorist propaganda. And so parents should take an interest in what the children are doing and work with the authorities to ensure that this poisonous propaganda does not continue to spread amongst our young people. I always take the opportunity to talk about education because it is the one single most important issue in our Muslim communities. I'm happy that increasingly many of our young people of school-going age are being put in school, and that is a very good sign. Ghana has achieved 80% youth literacy, and we expect that in the next decade we'll have 100% youth literacy. That means 100% of young people below the age of 35 would be literate, and it would not leave behind our Muslim communities. And so what we're doing is targeting several deprived communities, and we realize in the Ghana Living Standards Survey that there's a congruence between deprived communities in the urban areas and many of the places where our Muslim communities are. And so if you take the urban settings like Accra and other places, you find that the most deprived areas are where our Muslim communities exist. And so the Ministry of Education is targeting these particular deprived communities to ensure that we create the facilities to make it possible for as many of the young people in these communities to go to school. And so even in the community-day senior high schools, several of the communities that we have targeted to put these new secondary schools are in the Muslim areas. And I believe that parents should reciprocate by ensuring that our children continue in school, because there's a link between dropping out of school and poverty. There's also a link between not continuing in school and child marriage. When we put children in school at primary, we expect them to come out of JHS at about 15 years of age. When they go to school at 6 years of age, they will come out of JHS at about 15 years of age. And we realize that because of the bottleneck in our secondary level education, a lot of our young children, especially in the deprived communities, who actually passed to go to secondary school, could not find places in secondary school. And this is important especially for girls, because if you put a girl in school at year 6 and she comes out of JHS at year 15 and she's not able to continue into senior high school, the tendency for her to be married off early is very great. But if she continues into senior high school, she will come out of SHS 3 at 18 years of age, which is recognized as the age of maturity here in Ghana. And that's why we're promoting expanding the secondary school system so that all our young boys and girls can at least have a secondary education. For those who have the potential to continue into university and tertiary education, we will allow them to do so. And so let's take advantage of the opportunity government is creating and send our children to school, especially in the Muslim communities. Ladies and gentlemen, recently there have been some issues with electricity tariffs. The Electricity Company of Ghana has done some work on it. They have done a realignment of their billing system, and I believe that people can begin to feel some relief in terms of the bills that they were paying. The bills have been made more transparent so that you can tell with every unit you buy how much the value of the unit is. It is not a subsidy, it's a realignment of the billing system that makes it possible for us to be able to know how much we're spending on electricity. Aside from that, we have recently suffered some generational problems. I held a stakeholder meeting with all those involved in the power sector. Because of sabotage in Nigeria on the terminals, crude oil that we ordered last month has not arrived. And so it has created some generational problems for us. But I've asked the bulk oil storage company to start storing at least 1 month of light crude oil supply for Ghana, so that in the event anything happens at the supply end in Nigeria, we are not affected the way we currently are affected. And so I'll crave your indulgence and urge all of you to understand we're not declaring load shedding. We're not declaring load shedding. I believe things will normalize, but we're taking steps every day to ensure that Ghana has security when it comes to power. This year is an election year, and as usual, in advance of election years, some fear and panic begins to enter our people that there will be trouble. I don't believe there will be any trouble this year. We have voted 6 times already successfully. This is going to be the 7th election after we adopted the 1992 Constitution. And I believe that we're going to vote in peace, and whoever emerges as president will do so through a transparent and fair process. In the meantime, let's give the Electoral Commission the peace of mind to do its work. They have done it before. Indeed, our Electoral Commission is one of the best commissions in the whole world. And we have confidence in them to be able to conduct an election. And so let's leave them peacefully to conduct this election. And I'm sure that Ghanaians would be the better for it. But before I finish, let me also urge that our Muslim youth and our youth in the Zongos should not be used as thugs, political party thugs. Anytime some political personality or party wants to recruit people to go and cause trouble, the first place they go to is Nima or to Boko. I mean, our youth are not political thugs. If you want people to fight, go to Bema camp. Don't go to Nima. Our youth are not soldiers. They are young boys and girls who are engaged in seeking a peaceful living. And so let's desist from allowing our young people to be used to wreak violence during political elections. Sanade nke karshe magana na tamana yi Hausa kadan. Farko ni da yayayina da kenuwa na duka muna godiya Chief Imam da musulmi dukan da suka taro lokacin da mu ya rasu. An ce dai in mutum ya rasu ko kudi kake da shi ba za ka ya kase rinta kuma ba, abinda take nema dai ne addu'a. Kwa lokacin da abu ya faɗi cikin idanunmu, musulmi duka da Chief Imam da sarake kowa ya zo ya yi taimako, muka yi mata addu'a da waɗanda suka bi mu, mun je kauye, mun je mun bisa mama family, muna godiya. Lokacin makocin bai ke ba tukuna, amma lokacin ya ke ntama mun taro mu yi mata addu'a kuma Allah jikanta, Allah sa ta futa, Allah ya ramashe ta. Sakaranga za mu yi haji kuma, ina roko waɗanda sun yi niyyar su je haji sakaranga, kowa ya yi maza ya biya kudinsa kan da zai yi hajj committee su yi aikinsu da kyau, ba bar kowa baya ba, don shi lokacin ya ke kowa ya yi kokari ya biya maza. Kwa sakaranga kun sani muna aiki kan Tamale International Airport. Inshallah mun kare da runway Tamale International Airport, don shi muna duban kaman in Allah ya sa sakaranga flight uku za su tashi daga Tamale, waɗanda ke Tamale da su Upper East da su Upper West ba za su zo Accra su zo su kara kai waɗanda ke nan ga aje da su ba, su sun taro Tamale a doke su Tamale aje da su Mecca. Ko abin da na faɗi batun zabe sakaranga mun sani za a yi zabe za mu jefa kuriya. Kwa lokaci zai ke akwai kaman wani tsoro na shiga mutane, kaman an yi zanga-zanga ko wani damuwa ya zo. Inshallah za mu yi zabe da kwance hankali, mu samu zaman lafiya mu gana. Kwa na ce idan ka duba in za a yi fada ko za a yi zanga-zanga sai a zo unguwa musulmi, a zo a doci yaran mu wai a je a yi fada. Na ce yaran mu ba su zama sojoji ba, in ana bida waɗanda za su yi fada a je bai ma kamfa je a kawo a cirawo sojoji su je su yi fada. Don shi insha Allah za mu yi zabe da kwance hankali, komai duka ba fada ba basa-basa. Kwa manyan mu na fadi we wanda ka san shi da rana da dai ba kunna fitila a duba cikin fiskansa, don shi dai na sani abin da zai yi. An ce mutane ke jefa kuriya amma Allah ke ba da sarauta. Insha Allah ya kafa sarautansa. Na gode. Alibaba.
President John Dramani Mahama speaking at the Independence Square to mark the celebrations of Eid-ul-fitr. Some key pointers just before we wrap up here on News Desk. The President essentially confirming that the country has suffered some generational problems with regards power, and also saying there that crude oil ordered last month has since not arrived in the country. And for a lot of us, the President just announced that load shedding has not been declared. And if you want to fight go to Bema camp. But if you want to get interactive, join Benis Abubaidu in a couple of minutes. We'll join you interactive. My name is Mama Vio Muswabwaji. Thanks for watching.